4 years. I only there for 4 weeks or 6 weeks. Is a thing I work. It's not going to work for me. Madam Chair, I have sat in opposition with this government for 4 long years. And I just want to paint a simple scenario, Madam Chair. And it's sort of a sidetrack, but it's just to reiterate again the badness, the wickedness of the previous government that we had here. Madam Chair, I filed a building permit from since 2021, 2022, never got nothing. Never got nothing, couldn't get it, Madam Chair. 4 years, nothing, absolutely nothing. Madam Chair, in 3 weeks with this government, I have the building permit. And guess what, Madam Chair? It was already signed off with payments to be made, booked it and everything, but never reached to me. Vindictiveness, Madam Chair. And when I tell the people of St. Martin, yes, the Honorable Minister, Acting Minister of Rummy signed that permit, I don't want to go into the details, but I have it in my hand today. 3 weeks, Madam Chair. So that tells me that, yes, I can't equate a building permit to the problems of GEBE, but what I can say, stop talk, start to work, get action done, get movements done. Madam Chair, the temporary manager is in the midst and will not like what I'm saying, but I have no beef whatsoever with the individuals. No beef with the individual whatsoever, Madam Chair. The fact of the matter, I come down to the work. And I am saying to my government, I am saying to this government, because Frederick Douglass said, you know, sometimes I love my wife, and she's my wife. But we just have a lover's quarrel at times. I'm having a lover's quarrel with you right now. And it can't be, Madam Chair. You remove Shaka, you remove Kendall as managers, but we keep in Troy and we keep in Mingo. It can't be, Madam Chair. It can't be. How is that possible? Madam Chair, I am proposing not only should the temporary manager be removed immediately, but also the board. Also the board, Madam Chair. But you know what you're going to hear? Corporate governance this and corporate governance that. But where was corporate governance when they put Keith Franco, where they put him? In the space of a couple of days, he read a 50-page report, fire this one. Where was corporate governance then? It can be done, get it done. And I am proposing, since I don't want Shireen Daniel there anymore, that have a 5-year contract, pay the good young lady out, go and talk to the former governor, Eugene Holliday, appoint him as a temporary manager and get things done. Nobody can question a gentleman with his work ethics. Nobody can question that, Madam Chair. Leave him put a team together and we move on. Because the present team we have now is not working. It hasn't been working for the previous government and it's not going to work for this government. It's not. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. And Madam Chair, I will distance myself. I will distance myself from the solutions and the actions of this government if they continue on the tracks of with GEBE, with this managing board, and with this temporary manager. Madam Chair, it's not working. Madam Chair, something needs to be done. Something needs to be done. And I am saying, through you, Madam Chair, and to the Honorable Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers, you're losing support from Chris now. But sometimes, you know, you need to hear it in the harshest of ways so that the point can come across. Madam Chair Lady, I thank you very much.
The rhetoric I just heard blame game politics 101, grandstanding. But what I missed was a simple thank you to the workers at GB, the workers of the power plant, and also for the people of St. Martin who have to deal with this on a daily basis. To the workers of NVGEBE, I thank you for the hard work you've been putting in the last couple of days, weeks, and months, ensuring that we don't have power all day, but at least we have some power. To the temporary management team, thank you for being there to guide us through this crisis, because God knows if you all had just walked away, what would have happened to us? With that, I have a question. We understand that the engine 19 has a bearing crankshaft issue. What is the update? If this repairs are successful, what would this mean for the load shedding in the coming weeks? Another important question that I have to ask, the meaning of COO. What is the meaning of COO? When I Googled it, and I got an answer. Chief Operating Officer. Madam Chair, I listened to one of the members, the blame game king, with absolutely no solutions coming out of the blame game king. He called the previous administration the worst government in history. I think he didn't take the little month the others got in government into account. But I won't go down that road. I want to know who was the COO. Because today, I hear the good MP talk about the last 4 years was the worst government. That's why we're here today. We feel in the crisis today because of the 4 years of the previous government, and especially the National Alliance government. But Madam Chair, for those who don't know, will know today that part of those 4 years, the COO is right here in front of us today. Right here amongst us today. Not over here, but over there. So the answers to this crisis should have been forthcoming, not this week, not last week, but immediately when they take office on May 3rd, deemed the worst and darkest day in St. Martin history by the current Prime Minister. So they're saying the COO, which was hired by a previous government, National Alliance-led government, is that part of the worst mistake in St. Martin history? Is that part of the bad decisions taken by the National Alliance government? Or are we just sitting down and doing exactly contradictory to what the Prime Minister said? A blame game. We're in political season. Let us blame everybody but ourselves and don't come with solutions because we're going to grandstand and make the public feel like the National Alliance government is the worst government. Madam Chair, while the good MP talking about the 4 years and the Minister Atiat and the Prime Minister and the Minister of Rumby is here today, in this house today is the former Minister Atiat, who had 2 years part of the worst government, but today is in the benches with a 2x4. Where are the decisions?
SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah. Your social health insurances.
Some of these questions probably may have been known already to some individuals, but for the sake of those tuning in and those that might have missed it or don't know it, I'm going to ask it anyway. What are the role and responsibility of managing director, the supervisory board, and the shareholder? What are the types of information that each of these sectors are privy to? The reason I ask this question is because in documents that I've received in Parliament, and also from listening to the press briefings, and also from participating in the candid conversation organized by GB, it is clear that each sector has different types of information. And for me, that caused a little bit of confusion. When you tell the stakeholders of a company that they're not privy to certain financial information, I have a problem with that. But anyway, I want to know what type of information these sectors, the board, the managing board, the supervisory board, and stakeholders have privy to. Who appoints the managing board? Who appoints the supervisory board? When the interim, this is also a very important question because this one is from the candid conversation in GB, there was a lot of questions asked. And at that particular meeting, the interim GB managing director at that moment said, especially when there was questions that was before his time, that it was before his time, and at that particular moment, he doesn't want to answer those questions and leave it up to the past managers or whoever was responsible for him. I have a problem with that. The same way as is being said here today, past government may have been responsible, and I'm not saying which, past government may have been responsible for our situation today, but the current government is sitting there and their responsibility is to make sure to address it and to have it fixed. So my question is, when the interim GB manager started, was an assessment done in the various departments within the company to find out the real situation of what was going on in GB? The Department of Finance, the Department of Operations, the Department of Customer Service. It doesn't matter. I want to know everything. Was an assessment done in all the departments across the board when it comes to GB? Was the findings reported? And to whom were they reported? Was government also part of that? Was government also part as shareholders receiving that information? Did GB have a contingency plan in the event of system equipment failure protocol to be followed? If so, what was followed and where did it go wrong? No one can tell me that the situation today, what our people is going through, what we all are going through, this is part of protocol. Because if it is, it's a bad, bad plan.
Then I want you to pay attention. Pay attention to the game that is being played right now. So the government comes, there's no presentation. We ask questions upon questions. Well, there should have been a presentation given to us. We ask questions upon questions, unless we plan on being here all day, where they're going to answer the questions. Like my honorable colleague said, you're going to hear going 2 weeks, come back in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. We hear members of parliament asking, where did it originate? Where did the GB problem originate? Well, in 2019, 2 engines were purchased. In 2016, another engine was purchased, and in 2015, there was a motion by Parliament that said GB have to purchase new engines, and engine 20 was purchased. But what is amazing is all of these engines are dual, hard fuel and LNG, but we don't use the LNG aspect because, yeah, for whatever reason. You see, the thing about it is 4 years, we keep hearing 4 years. Now, although the Honorable Member of Parliament said, yes, up, get a pass, at the end of the day, I was part of the government. I was there for 2.5 years, but still, we were a coalition for 4 years. 4 years from 2024 stems to 2020. So when Wärtsilä offered GEBE in 2019 the opportunity to purchase 2-for-1 generator, that was in 4 years. When that opportunity slipped GEBE, that was in 4 years. There was a lot of opportunities before this. When you see motions from 2011, 2015, 16, that was in 4 years. The responsibility, like my colleague says, lies on each and every one of us, members of Parliament. So if you sat here as a member of Parliament and your job and duty is to hold the government accountable, then everyone is to blame. We could sit here, fight, point fingers, do what we have to do. But the fact remains, you are there now. And honestly, if your presentation is not a plan or a solution, I don't want to hear it. Because as members of Parliament, we have to sit here and ask the basic questions. What is your reasoning for load shedding? How long will this be? Is there a barge on the way? Is there this happening? That means there was no communication or not enough communication to the public at all. At all. These are basic questions we should have already had the answers to. The load shedding is carrying on for more than 6 weeks, and we have to ask basic questions. Your own coalition members, if you're talking to us, I should hope you're at least talking to your coalition member through you, Madam Chair, because they're asking the basic questions. That's crazy. I hear another MP say, you know, yes, we all want it now, but I want the long-term solution. It's going to be hard, but easy for you to say. Maybe your predicament is different than the people on the street. I see we had videos walking through, shaking hands in front of the street, but did you walk through since the outage? Because I was walking through. And you know what's so sad, Madam Chair, through you? While I was in front street, the current went, and the guy just looked at his clock and said, yeah, it's 4 o'clock. We are reversed. When current go, and it's a norm. The generators didn't blow in our tenure. The generators blew now. No. So whenever I speak, I never blamed the current government. What I blame the current government for is lack of transparency, lack of openness, lack of communication, and lack of vision to plan. MP Christophe Emmanuel said he don't want to hear nothing because he don't believe nothing that GEB has to say. Well, they're not going to tell you you're going to hear nothing, because if we look at this government, they are a government of nothing. We have nothing planned. We put out the article that says no decision taken for GEBE during a crisis. You go on a public platform and ask the people to please stay tuned and wait on our short-term vision. When I hear members of Parliament asking, what is your short-term vision? Not only members of your coalition, members of your party asking, what is the short-term vision? What is the short-term solution? Sir Martin, we are here now. We are in this crisis now. If you walk with your head looking back, you're bound to trip. And the rate this government is going, you're going to trip and trip till you fall along the stairs. Stop it. Stop it now. We all, halt, yes, the favorite word. We all here together. And we could jump on each other and beat each other and do all of that, but you know who's suffering? The people that's watching this. The people that is listening on the radio, if they're getting correct. Those are the ones that are suffering, and including me. Because despite what anybody think, I don't have a generator home. So when the current go off, I stay in the heat just like them. Yeah.
Members.
So St. Martin, government, You are the leaders of this country. I can humbly say, Prime Minister, you are the leader of this country. And with great power comes great responsibility.
SXM, your social and health insurance. SXM, your social and health insurances.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah, your social and health insurances.
Members of Parliament, I have requested indeed this meeting, and it's because we have been working diligently to look for solutions in a difficult chaos that we encountered, but we're not going to point fingers. We are going to think on the direction of solutions. First of all, the word immediate has felt, the short-term and the long-term solutions. Before that, we have been a time already in a critical balance between the necessity, the demands of energy, and what we could supply to the public. And because of a recent incident with two engines, being engine 19 and also engine 8 and 9, recently we came out of balance with the possibility to give enough supply of energy to the people. First of all, we have engine 18, 19, and 20, and on the 5th of May, we had a shutdown of engine number 19. And by critical analysis, it was about, in principle, the crankshaft of that engine 19. Next to that, on the 2nd of June, we had the fire on engine 9 that went over to engine 82 with the necessary destruction. And that showed us how vulnerable we are in our supply to our community. We knew already that we were in a very, very delicate balance between demand and supply production of energy for country St. Martin, and we knew that already in the statement made by the Prime Minister and the answers that were given in January, but the reality is now that we are out of balance. To start with, first, the amount of, and some of the statements I'm going to make is immediately in answer to questions that have been posed. First of all, the peak necessity of production that we need on the island is, on peak time, is 57 megawatts. And at this particular moment, GB can offer between the 37 and 40 megawatts. That is the max that GEBE can offer to the people. And actually, in peak, we have to reach until the 57 megawatt. Realizing that, we have a chronic, evident shortage of 17 megawatts. Realizing the load shedding that we have to do to cope with this chronic presence of a deficit of 17 megawatts, we thought about solutions on the short term, covering from now till 3 months from now. After that, 3 to 6, and then from 6 to 2 years, and after 2 years. First of all, we thought we have to have a solution for 0 till 6 months, and then from 6 months to 2 years, and the long-term vision after 2 years. Let's start first with the immediate solution that we need, and the immediate solution is the one between time 0, starting now, till 3 months from now. We started first thinking on the short solution of a barge, a powerboat, and we have been looking quite extensively in that solution. We realized 2 things while we were analyzing that option. The first one is that it's a very expensive solution for the short term. And why do I say that? It's going to be approximately 20 megawatt. We have a choice out of addition with the barge with 20 megawatt. We can do it with 32 megawatt, and we can do it with 50 megawatt. If we make a choice for a 20 megawatt, it's going to be approximately $3.9 million per month. That is a very, very high price for the short term. If we choose for the 32 megawatt, it's going to be $5.4 million per month. And if we go for the 50 megawatt, that is the ideal situation, it will be $8.2 million per month. That is inclusive fuel though. For the batch to be here on the island and functional, it's going to take 6 weeks. So imagine if we take the decision to order the barge, the powerboat, it will be functional in 6 weeks from now. It will take approximately 10 days to get the barge here, and then it will take an additional 4 weeks to get it ongoing, functional, with the productivity of energy for the community. So the moment you order, you do a down payment, and you have the boat here, until it's functional, it will be 6 weeks from now. That's our first option that we are looking towards. Second option that we have is that we can do something with generator units. We call it the generator containers. The generator containers, you can have them in different format. The generator containers, you can have them in 1 megawatt, 1.2, 1.3, 1.5. At the end of the day, it's how many megawatt you need will make then the one delivering the containers decide how many they're going to give you. If they have 1 megawatt containers, they're going to give you 20 containers because you ordered 20 megawatt. If they have containers of 1.5 and you still need 20 megawatt, they're going to send you 20 divided by 1.5 will give you the amount of containers that you need. If you decide today to order the containers, it's going to take you 3 months average to get the containers functional to service the community. And it's going to take you exclusive fuel consumption approximately $300,000 per month. That is exclusive fuel consumption. Now we have a problem because actually we have the barge that come here, but until it comes, the benefit that we're going to get from the barge is going to be between the 6 weeks and the 3 months that we can have the containers here. So actually it's going to be very, very expensive to order the barge only for 6 weeks. Realizing that average you have to pay, if it's a deal with a barge, less than 2 years, that means that you have to pay to get the barge here. If you sign a contract for the barge in a term of more than 2 years, you must not pay an amount as down payment to get the barge here. To get the barge here, imagine you make a deal with them to get a barge in St. Martin. For less than 2 years, you will have to pay $3 million to get the barge here without having it functional to produce energy for the country. And then once you pay that $3 million to get the barge here, you only have 6 weeks benefit out of it, and you will have to pay additional a $3 million average for the 6 put it, is going to be 4.5 million extra just for the 6 weeks that you have to cover before you get the generators. That's one. So we spoke about the barge. That is going to be a too expensive option for the country. And we are speaking about the generators, the container generators that can be realistically realized for the country. If we decide to order them now, it will take approximately 3.5 months. We have them functional for the country. If we take for the short term the batch extra to it, as I explained, it's going to be a too expensive deal to deal with both of them, while you have a barge that is only giving you a benefit extra of 6 weeks until you have the containers that follow 6 weeks after the barge is here, and then you paid millions and millions just to have the barge here for the remaining 6 weeks.